how has it been now that you're in office? Um, how is it working with Republicans who are just defending insurrectionists and white nationalism, for lack of a better term? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. The Republicans been like that. But you know what? It's funny. Thank you. Thank you. I am excited that I made it too. It was a rough run for a minute there, all the way up until the second we got sworn in. So obviously really grateful to be here. I've finally taken to telling the truth about just like how I feel.
yeah,
And obviously, it's wonderful. It's an incredible honor. But to be quite frank, like I've been saying, like I feel like I'm treading water, like in a wave pool, because it's just always, it's like you're trying to keep up. You're trying to keep up. Like a lot of people think that government comes like prepackaged, but it doesn't. Like we start from scratch, and the workload is not smaller because you have no staff, or because you don't have an office yet, or because you don't have a phone, or internet. So we've been doing all that. We've been building all that. It has been a journey. We've been assembling a super dope team. So I'm really, really excited about that. And we're just figuring this place out. And that's how I feel right now. I feel like ready to conquer something and figure something out where the nearest bathroom is.
right. So you're saying the onboarding is a little rough. This is not like, it's not camp. It is like they pulled out the copper wiring of the office you were in before you got there. Is that what I'm getting?
Camp. I don't think it's camp. It's camp in some ways. But yeah, it's definitely pick your own adventure, like genuinely. And they also don't tell you what your options for adventures are. So
Right.
you're making up your adventure as you go. And you can change adventures at any point too, I guess.
Right. And you can also kind of sit around and do F all, as I feel like some Republican, freshman legislators have proven, thinking of Lauren Boebert and thinking of Marjorie Greene, who are kind of more in it for their branding exercises. Granted, they did get booted off under Nancy Pelosi of their, committee assignments. But, you can kind of just lay back and not necessarily try to work for the people.
Absolutely. We answer, for us in the House, right? Your employer is your voter. You answer every 2 years. Honestly, like it's more so every 1 year, right? Because we have to run a little bit earlier now. It's a lot of money in politics, so those elections come faster, sooner, or harder. But other than that, right? It's not like you have to call off. It's not like there's FMLA that you have to take when you need some time off, or no vacation days. Like you could choose to do anything. You can choose to do nothing, or you can choose to be dedicated. You can choose to be in your district if you want, or I would say you probably should be, but you could choose to be in your district. You choose to never go to that place. There are some folks who have islands and they go there, right? And they're there, and that's where they spend their off time.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and I feel like given your organizer background, and obviously given that you have a mission, you're on a mission. And I think I'm thrilled that you're in office. And of course, I think your district should be thrilled and is thrilled, obviously. You come from a world of organizing, specifically labor, and also working around education. How are you going to apply that to now your time in office? I guess maybe even just policy wise, or like how you approach this fight. I think sometimes progressives, they're like, why don't you go in there and just light it literally on fire immediately, right?
Yeah.
And coming from the world of labor, you can't really do that if you want to win.
Just I would never want to set a building on fire that I'm still
Sure.
in.
Sure.
It just doesn't feel like the most practical, approach if you're attempting to survive and liberate. But for me, when I think about organizing, when I say, what my title is, I'm an organizer. Like I don't stop being an organizer. One doesn't stop being an organizer because they are not an elected official. And I think that is a strength. You come in here and you recognize that things move, not just when we have, an organized electorate, but we absolutely have to have an organized electorate. We have to bring new people to the table. We have to engage folks who people have typically, discounted. People have considered that their lived expertise isn't, important enough to consider when we're making legislation, or when we're doing whatever it may be doing. But we also have to organize on the inside. Right? We have to move our colleagues at the same time, Democrat and Republican, our own caucus, right? We have to move the needle on what people believe is possible, right? We have to bring new people into our project, because as progressives, I believe that we have an obligation to create an opt-in and not only an opt-out if we're going to win, because we need more numbers. We need more people. We need those people to be bought in. and we need them to go and make believers of the world also. So that work has to always be happening at the exact same time that we're doing everything else.
That is so crucial. What you just said, we need an opt-in. And I think I'm trying to remember, I believe it was on this very show, but we talked about like, the ways that if you burn every single bridge rather than build them, if progressivism, is this kind of like, purity politics only or litmus test only, how are you going to actually build that consensus and gain real power and do what you're trying to do? And I guess maybe on the labor organizing tip, you've co-sponsored the reintroduction of the PRO Act. What are your thoughts right now, given how active new labor movements are, and also given this kind of like major hit that came down from the Biden administration on the railway workers, which happened right just before this derailment of the Norfolk Southern toxic rail?
Yeah, we can't talk out of both sides of our mouth with labor. Again, this is always an exercise in recalibration and accountability, right? It's easy to say, that we support people, but when we actually understand what solidarity means and the why behind solidarity, right? The why we needed to support those rail workers, right? Who are a part of, one of the wealthiest industries, in this country. If they can't even get paid paid sick and family leave, right? If they can't sound the alarm about, unsafe working conditions, then we're in a world of problems. But our labor movement is under attack. It's always under attack, but it's also growing in new ways, right? It's growing in a sense that it's becoming more reflective of like our workforce. So we're seeing growing labor movements in Amazon, right? We see that the successes in Amazon and the challenges there, right? We see the excesses like in Pittsburgh, we have, our coffee workers who have been unionized in Starbucks and our coffee tree workers. But also in Pittsburgh, we have, our magazine, our newspaper, owner family that's now, blocking our workers from negotiations. They've been on a picket line for months and months and months because they can't get, health care, right? And one of the workers just got attacked. So there's been an escalation. So right now, more than ever, we need Democrats. We need people who are friends of labor to put their money where the mouth is, because we have to support our labor movement. We don't get the progressive policies that we're fighting for. Medicare for all, Green New Deal, housing justice, workers' rights. We get none of that if we don't also have a robust labor movement that looks like our workforce at the same time. So we have to see these as hand in hand, right? Our struggles are intertwined here.
Absolutely. What do you make of this, sort of right-wing faux populism? After the derailment, they were trying to, you got Trump going to East Palestine, and you got Marjorie Greene, and all these other Republicans trying to, we got to have a committee, we got to have a hearing, we need to, like, and then it kind of all fizzled out when you actually talk about real regulations. Do you think they are successfully capturing a lane that other Democrats have kind of let go of? Meaning, do you know what I'm saying? Democratic leadership have not actually spoken to some of these, honestly, like working class issues and issues around like communities have been left behind. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah. So let me say, it could be yes and no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In a real sense, the Republicans absolutely have captured a lane that Democrats don't. That's why they exist today. That's why their base is not shrinking, but in essence, growing more emboldened and more empowered. But also their advocacy is disingenuous. And the work that Democrats have to do is in not playing to that, not legitimizing them when we know who they are, right? A wiser person than me said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. So we know that they don't care about the people of East Palestine, because if they cared about them, they wouldn't have supported the deregulation in the first place. If they supported, workers, they wouldn't bust their unions, and they wouldn't erode their protections and their rights. So we know that Republicans are going to talk out of both sides of their mouth. They're going to do it successfully because they're performance artists. So what we have to be adept at is presenting the very clear case for why we can't, fall for that smokescreen. We have to put up regulations where there are deregulations. We have to show up right where there are gaps, and we have to be responsive. But also, we have to help people recognize that the Republican Party of today means what they say, and that's why we are where we are today.
So now that you're in office, I'm ping-ponging a little bit, but you are on a couple committees. You've got the Oversight and Accountability Committee and the Science, Space, and Technology committee. So is the moon base going to happen, Summer? Is that?
Listen, I can't speak too much about the things that I know. You know,
wow. Okay. So you've seen the UFO files,
yes.
the Chinese balloon, as it were. We're breaking news here.
First day. No, I'm joking. We got no such thing. You know, science, space, and technology. Honestly, we're on like the research end. You know, we could talk about, you know, whether or not funding that's coming down for that innovation, that tech work, that STEM work is going to be equitable, right? We can make sure that there are, you know, stipulations attached to those dollars, that we are creating programs where women and, you know, Black and brown folks can actually avail themselves of the, you know, this growing economy. But also, you know, then we get some cool stuff. Pittsburgh is going to the moon, apparently. Like, I just found out.
What?
Yeah, we're going to the moon. Like, we're gonna send a rover up to the moon. It's being built right here in Pittsburgh. Mission Control. You know, they say Houston, we have a problem. Well, they're gonna say Pittsburgh, we don't have a problem. Mission Control is gonna be here in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is all good. That's funny. I like the idea of Pittsburgh just going to the moon, though. Like the entire,
yeah, the whole entire
city's done.
Yeah, we're done. We've had enough of this.
Yeah, we've had it. No, that. I mean, part of that, I mean, it's not a lightweight assignment. Like the you know, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, and then number 2 or 3, whomever, you know, like Bezos, their corporations have received federal dollars.
Yes.
For what? For them to have rockets to take rich people up to see like their handiwork from space. Like,
yes, precisely that. And honestly, the small employee-owned company that's building that rover right now here in Pittsburgh, they're competing precisely with, you know, Elon Musk and Bezos.
Wow.
Right. And the fact that they were able to do this is really a testament to their hustle, right, and to their vision, because, right, they're crushing the market. So that was also another reason why I was all in, right, because I was like, well, look, if you're fighting, you know, you're fighting a good fight.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.